It was Veterans Day morning. The sun had just started to shine through the windows of Crestwood High, and the students in room 208 were buzzing with excitement. Everyone was talking, laughing, and waiting for the assembly to start. The only person not joining in the noise was their history teacher, Mr. Miller. He quietly arranged papers on his desk, his expression calm, almost distant, as if his mind was somewhere far away. "Come on, Mr. Miller," said Jason, the class clown, leaning back in his chair. "You're not even wearing red, white, and blue today. It's Veterans Day, man." The class chuckled. Mr. Miller just gave a small smile. "I think the day is about more than colors, Jason," he replied softly. To most students, Mr. Miller was just a quiet, old-fashioned teacher who never talked about himself. He taught history with passion, but when it came to wars, his voice would change, slower, deeper, filled with emotion. Nobody knew why. They just thought he was overly dramatic. That afternoon, the school held a Veterans Day assembly. The principal announced that they had invited a local war hero, someone who had served with honor and bravery. Students sat up in anticipation, whispering and guessing who it might be. But when the principal said, "Please welcome Sergeant Daniel Miller," the entire class froze. Their teacher, the quiet, humble Mr. Miller, stood up and began walking toward the stage. The auditorium fell silent. Jason's jaw dropped. Emily, the top student who always admired Mr. Miller's calmness, whispered, "That's him." Mr. Miller stood before the microphone, his old military jacket fitting snugly, medals gleaming under the light. "I wasn't expecting to be here today," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "But I was told that my story might help some of you understand what this day really means." He paused, looking at the rows of students watching him with wide eyes. "When I was your age," he continued, "I wanted to make a difference. I didn't come from much. My parents worked hard just to keep food on the table. So when I turned 18, I joined the army." The crowd listened silently as he told his story. He spoke about his time overseas, how his unit faced impossible missions, how he lost friends who were like family. His tone stayed steady until he spoke of one mission, the one that changed everything. "Our team was trapped," he said softly. "There was fire everywhere. I could have run, but one of my soldiers was injured, my best friend. I couldn't leave him behind." His voice cracked. "So I carried him for miles through enemy fire. We both made it out, but he never walked again. He always told me, 'Danny, you're my hero.' But I never felt like one. I just did what anyone would do for someone they cared about." You could hear a pin drop. Even Jason, usually smirking, wiped his eyes quietly. Mr. Miller took a deep breath. "When I came back home, I didn't want praise or awards. I wanted peace. So I became a teacher. Because I wanted to teach young people that true bravery isn't about fighting, it's about standing up for what's right, no matter the cost." After the assembly ended, students rushed toward him, but Mr. Miller quietly excused himself, returning to his classroom. He sat alone for a while, looking at the medal that rested in his palm. Then he heard a knock on the door. It was Jason, holding a small handmade card. "Sir," he said nervously, I'm sorry for making fun of you. I didn't know. You're the bravest person I've ever met." Mr. Miller smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to be sorry, Jason. Just remember, every person you meet carries a story you might not see." Later that day, Emily gathered the class together. They decorated the classroom with paper, flags and wrote, "Thank you for your service," across the whiteboard. When Mr. Miller walked in, they all stood up and clapped. He was speechless. Tears welled up in his eyes. For a moment, the man who once stood on a battlefield now stood surrounded by his students, his new mission, his new reason to keep fighting for something good. As the day ended, Mr. Miller looked out the window at the sunset and whispered, "Maybe being a hero isn't about what you did in war, but what you do after." Moral of the story: everyone carries unseen battles within them. True heroism isn't found in medals or uniforms, it's found in kindness, humility, and the courage to make a difference in others' lives.